I stumbled drunk into the Eastern Palace bedchamber, shattered the crown prince's betrothal, and turned him into the laughingstock of the entire capital. In retaliation, he severed my tendons, gouged out my eyes, and imprisoned me in a dark chamber, torturing me day and night. But I was reborn. This time, fighting off the liquor's grip, I threw myself into another's arms. Who's this brute? Looks rather fresh-faced. I recognized his face. Sierronza, the young general who would die on the battlefield a month later. I was reborn. Leaning against the rockery, I could see the full moon above casting its cold, pure light. Ever since Zhao Jingqian gouged out my eyes, I hadn't seen the moon in ages. In that moment, I dared not even breathe. I feared this was just another illusion. The crown prince is drunk and currently resting in the Mingda Hall. My body froze. This was the voice of Huai Bai, Zhao Jingqian's personal maid. Back then, I had gotten drunk at a banquet in the Eastern Palace and suffered a terrible headache. Hearing Huai Bai's words, I decided to avoid the crown prince and sneak off to a side hall to rest. Unexpectedly, Zhao Jingqian, who had been drugged with poisoned wine, was feigning sleep there. The western side hall became the beginning of my nightmare. That night, the woman's wails echoing from the hall were piercing and terrifying, shattering the Eastern Palace's silent night. I begged desperately, weeping until my tears ran dry, my very bones trembling, pleading for him to spare me. At that moment, Zhao Jingqian resembled a rabid beast. The next day, Zhao Jingqian finally sobered up. But it was too late. This scandalous affair swiftly spread throughout the palace. His Majesty flew into a rage. To appease his father, an imperial edict was issued. Thus, I, a lowly concubine's daughter, became Zhao Jingqian's secondary consort, and the royal family's fig leaf. Later, Zhao Jingqian was abandoned by his beloved fiancée. Driven mad with rage, he stormed into my chambers with sword drawn. Yuan Chui, you ruined me. Now the entire capital mocks me. Are you satisfied? I defiantly retorted, Your Highness, it is I who have been ruined. Zhao Jingqian was enraged by my words. He raised his hand, the sword's edge aimed at my eyes. If not for your scheming and betrayal, you wouldn't even have the right to stand before me. Don't look at me with those filthy eyes. One more time, and I'll gouge them out myself. I froze. So this was why he hated me so deeply. Later, for his beloved Gu Qingluo, Zhao Jingqian personally tore out my eyes. Before the pain knocked me unconscious, I could no longer tell if what flowed from me was blood or tears. All I kept asking Zhao Jingqian was, what had I done wrong? Gu Qingluo approached me, leaning close to whisper in my ear, Yuan Chui, your greatest mistake was appearing in the Eastern Palace that night. Coming to my senses, I realized I was drenched in cold sweat. Gu Qingluo was right. Had I not appeared in the Eastern Palace that night, none of this nightmare would have followed. I forced myself to steady my thoughts. Chui, don't be afraid. It's a fresh start now. If I can evade Zhao Jingqian and escape this place quickly, everything can still be salvaged. Grasping the rockery for support, I stood up, fighting off dizziness as I moved toward the exit. But after only a few steps, I spotted Zhao Jingqian, clad in purple robes, walking slowly toward me. How could he be here at this hour? Shouldn't he be sobering up in the side hall? Startled, I quickly hid in the grass beside the lotus pond. Zhao Jingqian seemed to hear the rustling and staggered to a halt. He appeared to be straining his ears to listen. I curled myself into a tight ball, terrified of being discovered. Suddenly, Zhao Jingqian shifted his feet. As if sensing something, he stumbled drunkenly toward my hiding spot. Oh no, he mustn't find me. I dared not look and pressed my hands tightly over my eyes. After a moment, the footsteps seemed to vanish, and I slowly removed my hands. Zhao Jingqian's face suddenly appeared before me. He crouched down, matching my posture, tilting his head to look at me. His eyes were filled with cruel mockery. Yuan Chui, Did you think hiding here would keep me from finding you? That voice sounded like it came from hell, making my heart leap into my throat. "Ah!" I screamed. At the same moment, I swung the embroidered shoe I'd been clutching in my hand and smacked it hard across Zhao Jingqian's face. Zhao Jingqian crouched where he was, looking like a stunned toad. I seized the chance and took off running. "Ruan Chui, you dare strike me with the sole of your shoe!" His furious shouts quickly echoed from behind. I ran desperately along the lotus pond. In my previous life, that night in the Eastern Palace was the first time Zhao Jingqian had ever seen me. Yet just now, he had called out my name without hesitation. Had Zhao Jingqian also been reborn? I dared not think further. The footsteps behind me seemed to grow closer. After rounding a corner, a figure clad in black robes suddenly appeared before me, and I collided with them unexpectedly. Ouch! The person delivered a sharp headbutt to my forehead. Only upon recognizing my face did surprise flicker across their features. "Where did this pretty brute come from? You look pretty fresh. Good thing built sturdy can take a hit." No time. Zhao Jingqian was catching up. I suddenly wrapped my arms around the man in front of me and gritted out, "Sir, I'm terribly sorry." The words barely left my mouth when I yanked him with me. Sliding sideways into the lotus pond, moonlight fell upon his face, revealing his stunned expression. Xie. It was him. I froze for a moment. "Hey, what are you?" Before he could finish, I pulled him down into the lotus pond with me. The face finally clicked in my mind. It was that young General Xie, the one who earned his marquis title in a single battle, every time his army returned victorious. He'd ride that white horse through the capital streets with flair, a youth clad in iron armor, strikingly handsome, his gaze bold and fiery, radiating an unyielding spirit that seemed to charge forward forever. But if my memory serves me right, a month later, Xie would die on the battlefield, leaving behind not even a whole body. The only thing brought back was a severed hand. Cause of death unknown. The entire Xie family, renowned for their loyalty and valor, was plunged into mourning. The matriarch turned white overnight. In that light, Xie fate was truly tragic. He wasn't much better off than me, though my heart ached. Survival compelled me to drag him into this, no matter what. I refused to return as Zhao Jingqian's captive slave. I wanted to live too much. "Forgive me, Xie," I silently vowed. "This time, I dragged you down with me. I'll be your servant for life to repay you." Splash! The icy river swallowed us whole. Water surged into my nostrils. I struggled feebly, but my body felt leaden, refusing to rise, just as I thought I might sink forever. Xie hand suddenly reached out from the water. He grabbed my waist, lifting me up with all his strength until he pulled me ashore. Shivering, I hugged my soaking wet body, seeing the palace servants who had rushed to our aid upon hearing the commotion. Along with a group of Xie family members, I finally managed to smile. My gamble had paid off. The life of a concubine's daughter from the Ruan family was worthless. But young General Xie's life was far more valuable. A cloak suddenly appeared on my shoulder. It was Xie. He took the one a servant handed him and gave it directly to me. I stared blankly, feeling the thick cloak draped over me. Xie face flushed slightly. Earlier in the water, I overstepped. But I was trying to save you. You're not angry, are you? He wasn't angry at me. Instead, he was the first to show concern. I froze. It had been so long since anyone had spoken to me like this. My dignity had been ground into dust. My bones crushed beneath feet. I'd been living like a dog for far too long. A warmth spread through my heart. Yet my eyes stung with tears. I fought back the tears. A gaze suddenly fixed on me. I instinctively looked in that direction. Zhao Jingqian stood outside the crowd, his expression dark and terrifying. He was staring at me intently. Even if Zhao Jingqian glared through me, it wouldn't matter. Whenever he looked at me with that venomous glare, It was always the prelude to his explosive rage. My body trembled instinctively, but for the first time, I summoned my courage, straightened my spine, and met Zhao Jingqian's gaze, seemingly caught off guard. He paused slightly, then his expression darkened even further. He swept his sleeve and vanished into the crowd. I breathed a sigh of relief. Though soaked through and chilled by the night breeze, my heart felt an unprecedented calm. The gentle wind caressed my face, closing my eyes. I greedily savored the moment, nearly weeping. How could I have nearly forgotten? No cries, no pain. The night before marrying into the Eastern Palace should have been this peaceful, free from fear and turmoil. Don't cry. Xie suddenly panicked. I had been crying. I lowered my head, my hands clutching the cloak sash so tightly I didn't even notice my nails digging into my palms. Xie ears were still red, his face full of regret. Whatever I did wrong, if it made you cry, the fault is all mine. If you resent my rash actions in the water, just yell at me. I've got thick skin, it won't hurt. The usually spirited young general seemed utterly terrified by my tears, fumbling awkwardly. Lieutenant Su, why is she crying even harder? Was I too harsh? Xie grew flustered, whispering urgently to a burly, bearded man beside him. The strapping fellow scratched his head and jaw, pondering for a long moment. Well, whenever I make my wife cry, I just let her beat me up. And everything's fine afterward. Xie eyes lit up with sudden understanding. Fearing he might lean in for me to strike him, I hastily wiped my tears away. Rising to my feet, I pressed my palms to my forehead, knelt before him, and bowed deeply. This humble maiden has sinned. Please, General, mete out your punishment. Before dragging Xie into the lotus pond, I had thought it through clearly. If I pulled him into the water, Zhao Jingqian would surely dare not make a rash move. Young General Xie would be an excellent talisman. The worst outcome I faced was Xie slicing my throat with a sword, my blood splattering the lotus pond. Such an end was preferable to rotting away in the Eastern Palace. I admit I was a scheming villain, approaching him with ulterior motives from the start. Yet Xie open-heartedness made me feel ashamed of my own baseness. Precisely because of this, hearing his words, my heart was both anxious and filled with remorse. If your excellency does not disdain me, this humble maiden would beg to serve as your slave. Seeing my tears cease, Xie breathed a sigh of relief. He offered me a hand to rise, then laughed heartily. A young lady of the Ruan family serving as a maid to a lowly man like me. That would be too much of a hardship. He actually knew me. Before I could speak, Xie chuckled softly. Besides, the shore was slippery at night. I happened to pass by and saw you lose your footing and fall into the water. I jumped in myself to save you, since it was my own desire. How could there be any disdain? At that moment, the youth's carefree, spirited eyes shone brighter than the moonlight itself. Xie knew full well I was being deliberate. Yet he didn't expose me. He gave me all the grace I needed. And in front of so many people, he took all the blame upon himself. I stood frozen in place, speechless. Xie added, "You were walking so hurriedly earlier, I imagine you were afraid to walk alone at night. This time, take your time. They'll carry the lantern and walk you home." So he had seen me running frantically, and he had seen through me. He seemed to know I was afraid. Of course, Xie couldn't have known what his act of help truly meant, but having lived this life twice, standing at the edge of fate's conclusion, I understood profoundly. It was his appearance tonight that had provided the helping hand. I was about to kneel in gratitude again when Xie grabbed my arm. No need for kneeling before me. It was nothing. Don't dwell on it. On the way back, whether because of Xie and Deputy Officer Su, I didn't even catch a glimpse of Zhao Jingqian. With that, my last lingering worry vanished. Tonight was destined to be peaceful. This is where I leave you. Second Miss Ruan. pausing at the entrance of the flower hall. Xie bid me farewell. He curved his lips, his gaze intense. I ought to do something. Suddenly, an idea flashed through my mind. This seemed the only way to repay Xie. Thank you for today, but after this parting, will young General Xie be returning to Huanan City? I asked casually. Huanan City was where Xie maintained his garrison year-round. Flanked by rivers on two sides, he excelled in naval warfare, safeguarding the peace of the local populace. The people revered him as the Marquis of Rainbow Boat, Miss Ruan Air. You foresee things with uncanny accuracy, Xie remarked with a smile. I continued my pretense. I read palms. Before your departure, might I offer you a fortune reading for your safety? Would that be acceptable? I took the palace lantern from Deputy Officer Su's hand, then tugged up Xie sleeve with my other hand, holding his palm as if examining it. I pretended to study the lines. His hands bore calluses from years of martial training and several coarse scars. All these years, he must have endured much hardship alone in Huanan City. A man who gave his life for the people should not have met such an end. Thinking of his tragic demise in my previous life, I drifted into a daze. I heard that after Xie died in battle, only a severed hand remained. Is this that hand? To have one's palm cleaved off while still conscious, it must have been excruciating. After all this time, have you discerned anything? His clear voice suddenly reached my ear. I composed myself and replied, This omen is difficult to interpret. Such ambiguous omens usually hint at matters of life and death. Xie must have understood my implication. I said, Your Excellency, a month from now, you will face a critical juncture. Exercise great caution. At best, it could mean losing limbs. At worst, bloodshed. I didn't know the full story, so I couldn't offer more details. I only remembered being trapped in that dark chamber, where two young palace maids brought me food that day. Their faces heavy with sorrow, they were discussing the young general who had fallen so suddenly. Everyone felt pity for young General Xie. Now, I could only do my utmost to warn Xie. Would he believe me? I felt uneasy. Xie took the palace lantern from my hands, raised an eyebrow, and smiled. Before every journey, grandmother has someone perform rituals and red omen smoking incense, drawing blood, putting me through hell. Yet not once have they been right. So I never believed in such things. But thank you for your kind warning. They'll certainly be cautious. Otherwise, carrying such a heavy four-cornered lamp and straining your eyes to read my palm like this, will and all your effort be wasted. His eyes sparkled with amusement, clearly dismissing my concerns. I snapped back in irritation. You can disbelieve others, but my divinations are genuinely accurate. This man was stubborn to a fault. I could only silently pray that Xie would actually listen to what I had to say. Really that accurate? For some reason, Xie seemed intrigued. He suddenly rolled up his sleeve, extended his other hand, and spread it open before me once more. Since it's so accurate, why not take a look at my marital prospects while you're at it? I never expected the young General Xie to pull this move. I had no choice but to grit my teeth and proceed. First, I played up the mystery, turning his palm over and over in my hands. Then, I slowly and deliberately began. Your marriage prospects are also quite favorable. Your wife is a noble lady from a marquis household. She fell for you at first sight, and her affection deepened with each subsequent meeting. You are perfectly suited for one another. A truly harmonious match. I figured this interpretation couldn't go wrong. Who doesn't enjoy hearing auspicious words? Sure enough, Xie looked thoroughly pleased, but I hadn't anticipated the backlash coming so swiftly. Xie didn't get to leave. The next day, two memorials shook the court and the realm. One was submitted by the crown prince, Zhao Jingqian, expressing his earnest desire to marry the eldest daughter of Minister Gu. His sincerity was deeply moving. The other was penned by my father. My father's memorial was written with blood-stained words. It's just was that young General Xia had jumped into the water to save me in full view of everyone. When he pulled me out, he was still holding me tightly in his arms. Though a noble deed, it had tarnished my virtue. If I were not taken in, the Ruan family would truly have no face to show. I never imagined that I, a lowly concubine's daughter who rarely received a kind glance from father, could prove so useful in such a moment. In my previous life, I had endured a night of abuse at Zhao Jinqian's hands. Then too, father had rushed to petition the court, escalating the matter to the imperial court. Unexpectedly, his actions this time mirrored those from before my rebirth. How could I have forgotten this very scenario? At this point, I could only secretly hope that His Majesty was discerning enough not to rashly arrange a marriage this time. Xie Rongzi saved me. What if he already had a betrothal? Or someone else in his heart? To ruin his marriage prospects, won't that be repaying kindness with ingratitude? The more I thought about it, the more anxious I grew, unable to eat or sleep. Despite this, 3 days later, the emperor still wielded his brush and bestowed a marriage decree upon Xie Rongzi and me. My previous engagement to Zhao Jingqian was a taboo subject within these imperial walls. This time, however, rumors spread throughout the capital of Xie Rongzi's heroic rescue of a damsel in distress. I became his secondary consort outright. Staring at the bright yellow silk edict, I surrendered all resistance. At this very moment, upon receiving the imperial decree, Xie Rongzi must be cursing me inwardly. Right. What noble lady from a prestigious house. What love at first sight. Xie Rongzi had clearly been struck heated by this disaster magnet. With an overwhelming sense of unease, I entered the Xie household as his bride, sitting in the bridal chamber. My nerves were so frayed I could hear my own heartbeat. So tell us, is the second young miss of the Ruan family truly beautiful? A sudden commotion erupted outside. I held my breath, slipped off the bed, and pressed my ear against the door to listen. That concubine-born daughter of the Ruan family. She rarely leaves her chambers. I've never seen her. And she's hardly known. Given her status, making her your secondary wife is already a great concession to you. After listening for a while, though the conversation was fragmented, I grasped the gist. I guessed they must be the guests. Even though they were drunk and their words were harsh, every sentence was true. So, Xie Rongzi must care about it too, right? A pang of bitterness welled up inside me. I turned to leave. Xie Rongzi, have you lost your mind? The man who had spoken earlier barked the warning, followed immediately by a dull thud. Had Xie Rongzi fallen? Worry pricked at me, and I wanted to push open the door to check. But the veil hadn't been lifted yet. And the ceremony wasn't over. To rush out like this, it simply wasn't proper etiquette for a bride. If others saw me, they'd laugh at him even more. My feet froze in place. At that moment, a familiar voice sounded outside the door. Xie Rongzi's tone carried a hint of drunkenness. Yet it was utterly cold. I don't need others to tell me what kind of person she is. The room fell silent at his words. Once Ruan Qi stepped through the door of the Xie household, she became mine, and mine is better than anywhere else in heaven or earth. If you find fault with her, gouge out your own eyes. Who gave you the nerve to gossip in my presence? The offender, realizing his blunder, immediately begged for mercy. Xie Rongzi seemed impatient, uttering a soft shoo. Then, lowering his voice, "Why are you kneeling here, wailing like a child? Don't let her hear you. She's delicate. Your appearance frightens her. Now get out." His words fell into my ears like someone gently tapping my heart with a curved finger. I clutched my chest, my heart pounding wildly. Then I quickly pretended not to have heard anything. Retreating back to the wedding bed to sit obediently. Squeak, the door creaked open. Xie Rongzi's footsteps drew nearer. Been waiting a long time, haven't you? His tone softened considerably. A stark contrast to the icy young general who'd stood in the courtyard moments before. As if nothing had happened, Xie Rongzi picked up the jade scepter and hastily lifted my veil. General, this is improper. Before me. His cheeks were flushed. His gaze intense. His eyes looked at me with a clarity as if they'd been soaked in spring water. This man was truly drunk. At a time like this, I doubted he'd listen to anything I said, seeing a hint of fear in my expression. He finally sobered up a little. He turned and sat down not far away, his eyes still burning. I just came in from outside. I'm still cold. I'll stay away from you for now. The bridal chamber was warm and cozy, the wedding candles burning brightly. I could feel Sierrance's eyes fixed on my profile. Suddenly, he spoke. When I saw you that day, dressed in plain colors, I thought you were a goddess stepping out of the pool. Today, in such vibrant hues, you look stunning too. Truly. Nothing in heaven or earth compares to the beauty of my bride. A candle flame burst with a crackle by the window, startling me. Only then did I realize how tense I'd been since Sierrance entered. He chuckled softly and slid closer to me. My spine instantly stiffened, sweat pouring down my back. Now that the ceremony was complete, the remaining steps were inevitable. Thoughts of the bridal chamber, of what would happen after the candles were extinguished. A chill crept up my spine, sending shivers through my scalp. To me, those acts had never been bedroom pleasures, they were torture, pure agony. Beneath the wide sleeves of my wedding robe, I struggled to suppress my trembling. Yet the man before me was my benefactor, my husband. Gazing at the drunken Sierranza, I tried desperately to convince myself. The wedding candles flickered out, plunging the room back into darkness. His rough palms fumbled with my buttoned collar, and Sierrance's kiss descended. I closed my eyes. That night, too, a kiss heavy with alcohol had bitten my lips with brutal force. Silk fragments scattered across the floor, and I lay like a shattered flower. It seemed that night wasn't the only one. In the dead of night, when my hands and feet were bound, in the dark chamber, Zhao Jingjian loved grabbing my hair, forcing me to look up Ruan Chui. I've suddenly realized I'm not at a loss. Though your status is lowly, this face of yours is passable. Don't believe me? Look at yourself in the bronze mirror. You cry so amusing. Like a bitch wagging her tail for scraps, utterly pathetic. Those demonic whispers echoing through midnight once felt like a dagger, slicing my self-respect piece by piece. Now they shatter Xie Rongsa's tenderness into shards. That familiar wave of nausea surged into my nostrils. I couldn't bear it any longer. The next second, I shoved Xie Rongsa aside, clutched my mouth, and bolted out the door. I vomited for what felt like an eternity until my chest finally felt clear. Returning to the room, I saw Xie Rongsa holding a water bowl, his gaze fixed on my retreating back. I took it and drank it all in one gulp. Only then did I realize the colossal mistake I'd just made. Kneeling guiltily at Xie Rongsa's feet, I began my apology. I've ruined the general's mood. My behavior was improper and utterly unforgivable. I beg the general to overlook this petty offense and spare me this once. I shall go wash up now. If the general doesn't mind, we can continue. I started unbuttoning my own shirt. My movements hurried and rough. Xie Rongsa had sobered considerably. He frowned at me, grabbing my arm abruptly. Ruan Chui, ever since I first met you, it seems you're always kneeling. You hid behind the door eavesdropping for ages just now, yet still didn't come out. And clearly you dislike my kisses. Yet now you're still trying to please me like this. All of this is probably just because of propriety, right? I froze in place. Every little thought I'd been harboring suddenly had nowhere to hide. Following the rules doesn't mean you have to be this rigid. You really do enjoy restraining your own nature, don't you? No sooner had he finished speaking than Xie Rongsa mimicked my actions, lifting his robe and kneeling down on the ground with a flourish. Hey, what are you doing? I panicked, jumping to my feet and frantically trying to pull him up. How could I possibly let Xie Rongsa kneel before me? But Xie Rongsa had trained in martial arts for years. There was no way I could budge him. I'm not one for beating around the bush. I prefer to speak and act directly. He pressed my hands down. Tonight, let's lay everything out clearly. It'll be better for both of us. Though our betrothal was decreed by His Majesty, I find you quite to my liking. I have no objection to this marriage. As for you, if you have another in your heart and truly refuse this union, I will find an opportunity to petition His Majesty for its dissolution. His words were utterly candid. Even his admission of interest spoken with such unadorned clarity. If you are willing, do not mind my military background or my sometimes reckless ways. We have a long future ahead. Why not give it time and see how things develop? Xie Rongsa lifted his head, his eyes fixed on me with earnestness. Ruan Chui, will you spend your life with me? Yes or no? His gaze was clear, holding stars I had never seen before. It carried an inexplicable sense of reassurance. Before I could think, my mouth had already answered. I will. He seemed like someone I could trust. Xie Rongsa smiled, the starlight in his eyes growing brighter. He said in a clear voice, also, the Xie residence isn't bound by many rules. This place will be your home from now on. So, I hope you can be at ease. I'll protect you from anything. No more kneeling either. If you can't break the habit, then for every time you kneel before me, I'll kneel before you. His crimson wedding robe was dusted with dirt. Looking as disheveled as I felt, whether confined to my maiden's quarters or married into the Eastern Palace in my past life, I'd long grown accustomed to living with constant vigilance. As a child, disobedience meant hunger and beatings from father. Later, disobedience meant displeasing Zhao Jingjian. His displeasure was the beginning of my suffering. He suddenly leaned close and whispered, "Did you hear me?" His warm breath tickled my ear. It felt slightly itchy, and I shrank my neck. nodding vigorously. Right. Sierronsa seemed to recall something, leaning closer with a smile. If I can't resist kissing you again next time, don't be angry with me. Later, I came to understand that Sierronsa hadn't deceived me. The entire Sia household truly bore little resemblance to the aristocratic clan I remembered. I finally grasped why Sierronsa possessed such a pure and straightforward nature. It was precisely because everyone in the Sia household was like that. They were carefree and endearing, doing as their hearts pleased. Ever since I first served tea to the matriarch, she took a great liking to me. She praised my appearance, my obedience, and my docility, always pulling me aside for chats. She also mentioned that she had consulted a master several times about Sierronsa's marital prospects. Each time, the master declared that Sierronsa had no marital fate thread. He suggested that perhaps his destined partner hadn't yet appeared in this world, and they must wait for the right opportunity. Now, his destined one, had appeared. Only then did the old lady feel at ease, grinning so widely her mouth couldn't close. Thank heavens, finally, someone to rein in that wild monkey of a Sierronsa. Sierronsa overheard this and looked utterly aggrieved. Grandmother, I am the Marquis of Nizhou in Huanan. I am no mischievous monkey. How could you say such things in front of Chui? Couldn't you have said something nice about your grandson? Lady Xia immediately understood, taking my hand with solemn gravity. Very well. Very well. Then let's talk about his fierce side. That brat, first time he practiced swordplay, he accidentally sliced through his father's sash, right in front of the entire Huanan naval fleet. His dad's undergarments fell down, exposing his snow-white plump buttocks. It nearly killed me with embarrassment. Sierronsa. Most fascinatingly, though Lady Xia was well past 50, she still rose with the rooster's crow each morning for her daily exercises. I often stumbled upon them practicing together in the courtyard at dawn's first light. Lady Xia wielded her spear, while Xie Rongzi trained with his sword. Both grandfather and grandson moved with agile grace as swift as swans, as powerful as dragons. I heard that in her youth, Lady Xia had been a formidable female general. Now, one could still glimpse the glory of her past. My personal maid, Xiao Huan, murmured in awe. Madam, you may not know this. The Xia family now has only the matriarch and young General Xia, their sole heir. The rest, all perished on the battlefield. Generation after generation, the Xia family has been about couples growing old together, never taking concubines. Their line was always thin. After all these years of war, it's grown even more desolate. They're the finest masters I've ever known, yet also the most tragic. Alas. Her words jolted me awake once more. My smile froze, a shadow settling over my heart. The scene before me was undeniably beautiful. But in a month, no, less than a month now, not only would Xie Rongzi lose his life, but the old matriarch would be crushed by the blow, her hair turning white overnight, her form withering away. The Xie family would collapse in an instant. Therefore, Xie Rongzi must remain safe. Only if he lives well can that chain of tragedies be averted. I must do something for him. 7 days after our wedding, Xie Rongzi and I were to return to the palace as protocol dictated to report back to His Majesty. As we walked, I was suddenly bumped by a palace attendant. Xie Rongzi shielded me, scanning left and right with visible tension. I couldn't help but laugh at his reaction. Xie Rongzi. He merely bumped into me and stabbed me. No need to be so on edge. He composed himself, raising an eyebrow in reply. Not under my watch. If anyone dares harm you. His words trailed off, a hint of amusement playing on his lips. Xie Rongzi raised his hand, palm slightly open, tracing a sharp arc across his throat. Then like this, he tilted his head, his eyes reflecting the bright spring light. I knew he was trying to reassure me. All right. I nodded firmly. When he wasn't looking, I secretly unfolded the note hidden in my hand. It had been slipped into my robe by the palace attendant who bumped into me earlier. She must have collided with me to deliver this message. In 1 month, your husband will face mortal danger. To save him, come alone to the Eastern Palace to see me. Those final words struck my heart like a hammer. My blood seemed to freeze in my veins. That man's loathsome face flashed through my mind. I could even picture him after writing the note how he'd trace each stroke with a sickly smile. One by one, I walked toward the East Palace slowly, each step trembling with fear, until that familiar purple-robed figure reappeared in my sight. Zhao Jingqian turned around, his eyes gleaming with excitement, his gaze intense as he looked at me. You really came. You remember everything from before too, don't you? It wasn't a dream. I lowered my head, avoiding the intensity in his gaze. Your Highness, I don't understand what you're saying. Zhao Jingqian snorted coldly. Ruan Chui, stop pretending. That day was supposedly our first meeting. Yet you were filled with fear and dread toward me. Today, upon seeing this note, you believed it without question and rushed straight here. That day, you deliberately pulled Xie Rongzi into the water. Wasn't that to use him to hide from me? And today you came because you knew Xie Rongzi would die in a month, didn't you? Zhao Jingqian suddenly pulled me into his embrace, his eyes fixed on mine as he smiled darkly. He began to recall the past. Reaching out, he gently touched my eyes. These eyes are truly beautiful. No wonder, even after living another life, I still dream of you. A wave of disgust washed over me, sending shivers down my spine. I clutched his wrist tightly, but couldn't push him away. Zhao Jingqian tightened his grip, pinching my jaw until it turned red and swollen. But, Ruan Chui, do you know, this time, Father Emperor approved your marriage to Xie Rongzi, yet rejected my petition to wed Gu Qingluo. Tell me, why is that? Zhao Jingqian loved Gu Qingluo most of all. Gu Qingluo was the eldest daughter of Minister Gu, his only child. cherished like a jewel since childhood. Therefore, even the most exalted honors in the realm were hers to bear. She would never share her husband with another woman, demanding only one man, one woman, for a lifetime. Gu Qingluo declared that if Zhao Jingqian couldn't grant these terms, their betrothal could be annulled at any moment. He had finally won her over, only for me to become his secondary consort by a twist of fate, causing Gu Qingluo to break off their engagement. Then, Gu Qingluo married the newly crowned top scholar. But later, I accidentally caught them kissing. They spotted me too. I remember Gu Qingluo turning pale with shock, blaming Zhao Jingqian tearfully. She said it was all his fault since he broke his promise first. He shouldn't have come back to tempt her. Now everything was ruined. Her tears fell like pear blossoms in the rain. She probably felt her life was being destroyed by my hands, while I begged for mercy beside them, my forehead bleeding from repeated knocks. Yet Zhao Jingqian, to reassure her, still pierced my eye with a sword. Ruan Chui, since you persist in defying propriety, I shall discipline you myself. Zhao Jingqian was not merely a beast, was a heartless madman. After losing my eyes, I sought only death. When Zhao Jingqian noticed my contemplative movements, he locked me in a dark chamber, severed my tendons, and severed me from the outside world entirely. Each time he returned from Gu Qingluo's presence unsatisfied, he would vent his frustration upon me tenfold in the Eastern Palace's dungeon. But how ironic it was. Having lived through it all again, I was no longer the obstacle between them. He successfully drafted his marriage petition, only to be rejected by the emperor. Zhao Jingqian and Gu Qingluo were never meant to be a couple, because this is your retribution. Since he had seen through me, I saw no point in pretending anymore. Overcome with grief and indignation, I spoke slowly and deliberately. We had never even met before. Why would I covet the position of secondary consort, resorting to poisoning as a means to that end? Had you personally investigated, you might have uncovered the true mastermind long ago. Instead of blaming me, Zhao Jingqian sneered. Why would I investigate? That poison was indeed mine, but I intended it for Gu Qingluo. My eyes widened in disbelief. So this was the truth. Zhao Jingqian had known all along that I had never plotted against him. She is the Gu family's legitimate daughter. Aside from her stubborn and willful temper, she possesses every quality to be the perfect empress. I love Harris that not natural. Zhao Jingqian stroked the jade pendant at his waist, speaking calmly. Those princes are beginning to make their mark in the court. My position is unstable. As long as her heart remains with me, the power behind her will one day serve my purposes. It's just a pity she threatens to break off the engagement every time we quarrel. Such a nuisance. You see, you women regardless of rank or status are fundamentally the same. Only through taming will you truly submit. Us women. I murmured, repeating Zhao Jingqian's words, a chill running through my body. He truly is scum. I once believed he harbored at least a shred of genuine affection for Gu Qingluo. But now it seems if one truly loves someone, how could they disregard her honor and do such things to her? Zhao Jingqian, why? I fought to steady the tremor in my voice. The angrier I appear, the less suspicion falls upon me. Blind you. Merely a gesture to please Gu Qingluo.as for severing your tendons and imprisoning you. Humph. No particular reason. I tortured you simply because I wanted to. Zhao Jingqiu's lips curled into a silent smirk. Do you really need a reason? Perhaps this is the nature of evil, it never requires justification. Though the wounds from before had vanished, hearing those words still made my skin crawl and ache. I steadied my nerves. What you wrote on that note earlier, is it true? How did Xie die? Is there any way to save him? Zhao Jingqian spread his hands, a helpless expression on his face. Just a test to gauge you. Even if I knew, why should I tell you? But you seem more concerned about Xie than I expected. You haven't genuinely fallen for that brute, have you? He snorted coldly, hearing him speak of Xie thus. I took a step back and retorted sarcastically. You're moody, violent, and cunning. Everyone in the Eastern Palace fears you, whispering behind your back that you're a mad dog. But Xie is different. He surpasses you in every way. So what if I like him? Besides, if you could think to use Gu Qingluo, His Majesty surely could too, probably to keep you in check. I chuckled lightly. No wonder you resort to bluffing and relying on women to maintain your position. Useless, talentless, unprincipled, incompetent. You can't even grasp such simple logic. What a worthless fool. Incapable of weighing consequences. Zhao Jingqian was enraged by my words. He lunged forward, grabbing my collar. You've grown bold enough to speak to me this way. I summoned you today to make clear what I cannot have. Neither shall you. If he couldn't have Gu Qingluo, he wouldn't let me be happier than him. I should have seen this coming. I struggled violently against Zhao Jingqian's grip and slapped him across the face. But shamelessly, he leaned in to grab my hand. Ruan Chui, you'd better make a scene, call everyone over to see you. The general's concubine, disheveled in my arms. Why not come find me every night? Just like before. Once Xie is dead, I'll have my own glorious achievements. Taking you as a concubine wouldn't be so bad. These sickening words made my scalp crawl. I felt nauseous, my eyes stinging and swelling. I fought back the tears with all my strength. If I cried, it would only truly satisfy Zhao Jingqian. Cry. Why aren't you crying? Seeing my reaction, Zhao Jingqian's expression darkened, clearly displeased. Suddenly, a cold gleam appeared at Zhao Jingqian's throat. His body stiffened, and he released his grip. I saw Xie standing behind Zhao Jingqian. His long eyebrows were slightly furrowed, his expression grim. He opened his mouth and said coldly, "She's timid. You've frightened her. Chuyi, come here." He extended his hand toward me. In that moment, everything around us seemed to fade into darkness. Only Xie face, with its sword-like brows and piercing eyes, appeared like a deity descending to rescue me from the flames. The disheveled crown prince slowly turned around, a vivid streak of blood gushing from his neck. Yet Xie did not lower his sword. Zhao Jingqian, a woman's anguish is no badge of your so-called glory. Xie spoke each word deliberately, fearing he might truly strike Zhao Jingqian. I hurriedly tugged at his sleeve. Xie, don't act rashly. He turned, squeezing my hand reassuringly. I know my limits. Yet in the next instant, a flash of cold steel sliced through Zhao Jingqian's sleeve, severing half of it. Though he dodged in time, Zhao Jingqian's hand was still grazed by the blade. Staring blankly at the severed sleeve and his own bleeding hand, Zhao Jingqian remained frozen, not even uttering a cry of pain. I remember you were always like a timid little dog as a child. Whenever the princes fought, you'd cry instead of fighting back. Why are you still so weak now? Xie sneered loudly. His jade-like face bore utter contempt. But then, you couldn't beat me even as a child. Now, if I were to kill you with a single sword thrust, it would only be fitting. Xie, I am the crown prince. How dare you? Zhao Jingqian's eyes bulged with fury. Xie wiped the blood from his blade with disgust, his smile fading. Crown prince, if His Majesty learned of your deeds, do you think the throne would still be yours? Don't threaten me with imperial power or wealth. I neither believe nor care for it. Today it's your sleeve. Tomorrow, it'll be your dog's head. Zhao Jingqian. Xie let out a soft chuckle. On the way back, he barely spoke. My heart raced with anxiety, wondering if Xie was angry. I was agonizing over how to broach the subject. Unexpectedly, just as we reached the palace gates, he suddenly spoke first. Chuyi. That night, I was actually walking from your direction toward Zhao Jingqian. Later, seeing you two seemed to be in conflict, I grew concerned and turned back. So it wasn't a coincidence after all. I froze. Then I heard Xie ask earnestly, "Is he the one you've always feared?" My voice cracked as I replied, "Yes. The Crown Prince and I do share some past history. He despises me, hence his constant harassment. But he has no interest in me. You can rest assured, General." Xie seemed to recall something, his face twisting with disdain as his tone turned bitter. "You probably don't know this, but sometimes deliberately making things difficult isn't necessarily dislike, it could be affection. That man has been twisted since childhood. Who can say for sure? But you needn't fear Zhao Jingjian. From now on, every time we see him, well, beat him up. Today." Striking him had already pushed me to my limit, requiring every ounce of courage I possessed. The thought of beating Zhao Jingjian every time we encountered him in the future. I shrank back, my neck tightening. I dare not. Xie suddenly scooped me up, startled. I clung to his neck. The next moment, my body soared through the air as he placed me atop a horse. I'd never ridden a horse before, so I clung tightly, not daring to move. But the sensation of my feet dangling in the air felt strangely novel. Before long, the horse proved remarkably docile. My courage grew, and I tentatively sat up straight. Xie stood beside the horse, reins firmly in hand, glancing back at me. "Chuyi, care to give it a try?" His crimson robes blazed like fire, his high-pinned hair gently swaying in the breeze. Xie eyes shone as brightly as flames. "With me here, you won't fall. If you ever want to learn horseback riding or sword play, they'll teach you. They'll take you back to Huanan City to see its mountains and rivers, and show you the rainbow boat where I rose to fame in battle." Xie walked with light steps, his spirit radiant. "All right." I couldn't help but curve my lips upward, listening intently to every word he murmured. So this was what it felt like to be cherished and protected. Even if storms poured down, that person would always be behind you. Just turn around, and you could grow old together. In the days that followed, Xie remained busy, yet he still found time to craft a short sword for me, its form exquisitely refined. After receiving this gift, I examined it for a long while. Only then did I notice the delicate sword tassel hanging from it, though slightly frayed. It bore clear marks of its former owner's careful cherishing. The patterns on the scabbard match mine their pair. Seeing my delight, Xie eyes crinkled as he continued, "This tassel belonged to my mother after she fell in battle. I kept it close as a memento. Now I give it to you along with this sword. Consider it your talisman. Wherever you go, with my sword and this tassel by your side, you shall be safe. In dire moments, you can use it to defend yourself. If you're too afraid, just toss it to me. They'll catch it without fail and rush to your side at once. Want to test it?" My heart swelled with joy. Adjusting my stance, I tried it his way, and sure enough, he caught every toss with steady hands. But suddenly he reminded me of a big, loyal dog. I couldn't help but laugh. "Thank you for being so thoughtful. It really works." Unexpectedly, Xie cleared his throat softly, turned his head away, and his ears flushed red. "If you really want to thank me, then let me kiss you. Or, tonight, can I sleep back in the bed?" I remained silent for a long time. Xie thought I was upset and hurriedly explained, "Don't misunderstand. You know, the bed's too small, and Imtalit's digging into my back. It'll get chilly soon, and two people together stay warm. I sleep like a log." Before he finished, I stepped around to face him, tiptoed, and closed my eyes. As our warm lips met, I quietly wrapped my arms around Xie waist. Though the kiss was brief, when I opened my eyes again, Xie face seemed even redder. He stood frozen in place, a dazed, foolish grin on his face utterly unlike his usual self. The invincible little General Xie had one flaw. He went dumb as a rock after a kiss. How could this be? Under his burning gaze, my own face flushed slightly as I whispered back, Whatever you say. The next second, I heard his voice rise with delight. Really? Sierronsa arched an eyebrow and smiled, wrapping his arm around me as he drowned me in an even more passionate kiss. Suddenly, Lieutenant Seuss' voice rang out from nearby, reporting, "General, His Majesty has issued an edict, requesting you, this, you guys, spotting Sierronsa and me." Seuss' voice trailed off. He covered his eyes, clearly unable to bear the sight. "Even if the sky falls, you get out of my way. You old fool with no sense of propriety." Sierronsa hadn't had his fill of kissing me yet, so he pulled me closer into his embrace. The corners of his eyes flushed slightly, his tone sharp. "Why don't you go handle your duties first?" I pointed at his face, kindly reminding him, "Because you're bleeding from your nose." Huan Nanqing had indeed encountered trouble. The new ruler of neighboring Yedu, coveting the strategic stronghold of Huan Nanqing for years, took advantage of Sierronsa's absence in the capital. He dispatched several personal guards disguised as refugees to secretly cross the Huan River. His Majesty issued 3 consecutive edicts ordering Sierronsa to return and defend Huanan City. Surprisingly, Zhao Jingqian was also on the list of those accompanying him. Deputy Commander Su said the Crown Prince had personally requested to secretly join them in battle. In the imperial court, before all the ministers, Zhao Jingqian stated this move was, first, to temper himself and alleviate the emperor's burdens; second, with Huanan experiencing frequent friction with neighboring nations in recent years, this presented an opportunity to lend Sierronsa a hand. Upon hearing this news, Sierronsa frowned deeply. "That stupid dog doesn't know how to fight. His presence will only slow me down. When the battle begins, he'll have to watch his back." What a nuisance. Ever since hearing this news, I too have been restless. The 1-month deadline draws ever closer. What exactly does he intend to do? However, since arriving in Huanan City, Zhao Jingqian has disguised himself as an ordinary military officer, accompanying Sierronsa at his side. Sierronsa couldn't persuade me otherwise, so he had no choice but to bring me along. Though Zhao Jingqian showed no signs of trouble, I remained constantly wary of him. Even Sierronsa's food, clothing, lodging, and daily necessities, everything was personally tested by my men first. Only after confirming they posed no threat were they delivered to his side. "Yuan Chui, I know you hate me, but I must prioritize the greater good. You don't need to guard against me like this, do you?" The great battle loomed. Sierronsa's warship burned bright with lights. They hadn't slept for several nights, awaiting only this decisive clash. Zhao Jingqian, clad in full armor, collided with me on the deck. I called out to him, "I ask you, did Sierronsa die in this battle before?" Zhao Jingqian regarded me with leisurely composure. "Yes. So what?" My suspicions were confirmed. My heart sank. "I advise you to abandon futile efforts. Start planning your next move." Zhao Jingqian seemed to read my mind, his words dripping with sarcasm. "I will strive to change everything. Even if I cannot, I will stand with Sierronsa through thick and thin, sharing life and death." It was precisely this conviction that drew me to that man of unwavering sincerity. Sierronsa held the torch that revealed light to me. From that day onward, he became my sole source of light. Well, truly a love as deep as the sea. His lips moved. "Yuan Chui. What if it were I who died?" I couldn't believe Zhao Jingqian would ask such a question. "If such a blessing were granted, I'd wish for you to die by my hand. Then I'd thank heaven for its justice, taking this wicked beast from the world." Zhao Jingqian smiled too. "They say a day as husband and wife brings 100 days of affection. Yet you treat Sierronsa thus, while showing me no mercy. You should return." The man on the ship's ladder is glaring at me through the air. Turning around, I saw Sierronsa indeed approaching, radiating fury. His stance suggested he intended to cleave Zhao Jingqian in two right then and there. I lifted my smile. preparing to walk towards Sierronsa. But the man behind me suddenly spoke in a calm tone. In the previous life, after Sierronsa died, only half a palm remained. Do you know why? Before I could respond, a deafening explosion erupted from the water beside us, like thunder rolling overhead. I immediately covered my ears. Chuyi, watch out! I saw Sierronsa leap toward me. Flames surged across the water like a dragon, igniting in an instant. The Yedu army has fallen for the trap. Go back to the tower ship and wait for me. Don't go anywhere. Sierronsa tucked my stray strands behind my ear, his eyes brimming with reluctance and longing. Come back safely. I gripped his cold armor tightly. I will. Sierronsa handed me the small sword. Hold on to it. It may protect you in dire moments. If I don't return, then you. Sierronsa paused. Don't say it. I covered his mouth. Sierronsa smiled at me, kissing the palm of my hand. All right. I will return. With those words, he turned and walked out without a moment's delay. After he left, I dragged out the armor I'd secretly had the ship's craftsman forge earlier and slipped it on. Then, I slipped onto the deck. The entire fleet was now in battle readiness, preparing to confront the Yedu forces. I saw Sierronsa standing at the bow, his hand resting lightly on his sword as he smiled. This youth was like the moon rising over the sea, on the Huan River. The one who can hold me back hasn't even been born yet. As the ship-to-ship ladders were gradually secured, his expression turned stern. He drew his sword. All who raise arms against Huanjiang today shall be cut down. The surrounding horns blared, their resonance seeming to reverberate within our chests. Nearly every man let out a low growl, charging together toward the target Sierronsa had commanded. The roar mingled with the river's surge and the unceasing crackle of cannon fire. After an unknown span of time, someone suddenly shouted, "Victory!" Only then did my heart settle. Everything had proceeded smoothly. Just as I was about to step out, the crown prince is present. Who dares not kneel? The usually gentle deputy commander Su suddenly grew stern. Raising a token in his hand, he abruptly revealed Zhao Jingqian's identity. Zhao Jingqian, seemingly anticipating this all along, stood calmly beside Sierronsa. The ship instantly split into two factions. The Huan Nan troops, who had just moments ago stood united against an external foe, now saw half of them turn their blades toward their comrades behind them. Suddenly, I understood the deeper meaning behind Zhao Jingqian's words. Perhaps Sierronsa had never truly been defeated, nor had he perished in Huanan. Indeed, he was a man of such profound loyalty and honor. How could he ever have imagined that one day he would be stabbed in the back by his most trusted subordinate? Come out, Ruan Chui. Zhao Jingqian turned his gaze to me. Sierronsa, held captive by Zhao Jingqian's men, knelt half-bent at the bow, his sword kicked aside. My heart shattered into pieces as I rushed forward. Zhao Jingqian stood aloof, looking down at me as I blocked his path before Sierronsa. Sierronsa. A long time ago, a similar scene unfolded. It was much like this, except then, you clutched a perfume pouch in your hand. I asked you then, who gave you this pouch that you clutched so dearly even in death? Only after I severed half your hand did I see the embroidered characters. Chuyi. A pouch. Chuyi. I couldn't fathom what Zhao Jingqian was referring to. Sierronsa stood with his back straight, head held high, as if letting out a faint sigh. Su Fei, I truly believed in you, even though I always complained about you. I genuinely treated you like a brother. Adjutant Su turned his face away, his eyes seemingly reddened, saying nothing. Zhao Jingqian, if I were to die here now, the credit for this victory would naturally go to you. You would rightfully secure your position as crown prince. Correct. Sierronsa spoke slowly. Zhao Jingqian burst into laughter. Very clever. Just a little too late. He suddenly leaned in, pinching my chin. Ruan Chui, I told you you can't change anything, because I'm the one pulling all the strings. At this very moment, Sierronsa has fallen this low. Are you still willing to share life and death? Advance and retreat with him. I was forced to lift my head. My hand slipped silently toward my waist. Yet my face turned toward Zhao Jingqian with a radiant smile. I welcome it gladly. And you? You will always be alone. Even in the underworld, you're destined to be a lonely ghost. Life after life, consumed by solitude, doomed to a miserable end. As I finished, I fixed him with a gaze filled with searing hatred. You. Zhao Jingqian was nearly driven mad by my words. Raging, he seized my throat with both hands. Now, I swiftly drew my dagger and hurled it towards Sierronsa. His movement was lightning fast. In a single stride, he pressed against Zhao Jingqian's throat. The situation flipped in an instant. A flare shot up from somewhere on the ship, lighting up the sky above with a piercing crack. In the distance, several enormous warships were approaching. Zhao Jingqian froze. Third Brother's ships. You've allied with them. Su Fei. You didn't know. Faced with Zhao Jingqian's fury, Su Fei was helpless. Sierronsa slowly raised his sword toward Zhao Jingqian's chest. Zhao Jingqian. It's almost over. But Zhao Jingqian's twisted face, fixed on the third prince's warships drawing ever closer in the distance, suddenly grew calm. Over. Says who? Sierronsa. You don't get to decide. I sensed trouble. No. I screamed at the top of my lungs. But it was too late. I watched helplessly as this madman used my sword to stab himself viciously in the abdomen. Sierronsa behind him staggered. The blade instantly pierced through both of them. Blood gushed from Zhao Jingqian's lips in great mouthfuls, while crimson blossoms bloomed across his body, a grotesque and eerie sight. Ruan Chui, I warned you. What I couldn't have, neither can you. He stumbled forward, just as Zhao Jingqian nearly grabbed my sleeve. Sierronsa desperately yanked the sword free and slashed at Zhao Jingqian's throat until both bodies plunged into the river. In the 5th year of Shangqing, the Huanan naval forces achieved a great victory. General Xia, the sole commander of the Southern Army, and Prince Qian vanished without a trace. Since then, a woman has been seen night after night by the banks of the Huan River, weeping tears of blood as she mourns her lost husband. From that day forward, Huanan City knew no more warfare. The rivers ran clear, the seas were calm, and the land enjoyed peace and bountiful harvests. Shangqing. Anecdotes and miscellaneous discussions. What utter nonsense is this? Xiao Huan flung the book of wild histories in anger, both amused and exasperated. Madam, they've written both you and the general dead. How utterly absurd. Ruan Chui, her face veiled, sat upon the bridal bed and soothed her softly. Don't be angry. We agreed to just pick up a few books to read for amusement. It's no big deal. Xiao Huan nodded. You're right. Madam, the important thing is waiting for our general to return and consummate our marriage. Why not read this one? The domineering prince and his charming maid. The cold-faced general's fierce pampering. Time travel. I am the divine physician and poisonous consort. Fierce pampering. Ruan Chui seemed somewhat surprised. Xiao Huan chuckled. I'm curious too. Why don't I read it aloud? Let's hear just how fiercely he spoils her. After the Battle of Huanan, the third Princino. Now Crown Prince Zhao Jingqian sent men to search the Huan River for 3 days and nights. They finally found Sierronsa in a small fishing village. He was covered in blood, but fishermen recognized him and mobilized the entire village to save him, preserving his life. After a long convalescence, he returned to the capital. Sierronsa's first act was to petition the emperor for a favor. He demanded Ruan Chui as his sole wife. Thus, a 10-mile-long wedding procession unfolded, with citizens lining the streets of the capital to celebrate. Lady Xia, overcome with emotion, shed tears as she personally crafted Ruan Chui's wedding gown and prepared a residence for her, ensuring she received every honor befitting a grand marriage. Seated atop a fine steed, Sierronsa finally wed the girl he loved. Tonight marked Yuan Chuyi's return to the Xie residence as the rightful wife. The night of her wedding chamber and the lighting of the bridal candles. Wow. The general has arrived. Xiao Huan hurriedly withdrew. This time, Xie Rongzi moved with practiced ease and efficiency, but he hadn't anticipated that the moment he lifted the veil, he'd meet a pair of furious eyes. Xie Rongzi, you big liar. The young General Xie panicked. Back on the ship. I promised I'd come back and didn't I keep my word? My dearest. How could I ever bear to deceive you? Then what exactly was that sachet Zhao Jingqian mentioned that day? That. Xie Rongzi scratched his head, sitting down beside Yuan Chuyi with a sheepish look. Let me tell you, back then, Xie Rongzi wasn't yet the young General Xie. He was just a troublemaker, a notorious hothead feared by everyone in Huanan City. He was the bully who snatched girls from their homes, the thief who robbed poor scholars of their money, and so on. Any weak soul had likely experienced young Master Xie's kindness. Of course, he sometimes overdid it, like accidentally knocking over every stall on the street. This nearly drove General Xie mad, who kept demanding to send him back to the capital. Huan Nanqing had a tradition. Every young man, regardless of family background, had to compete in the boat festival races during his comingdefage ceremony at 20. Only the winner earned the right to claim the prize. That year, Xie Rongzi sailed a crimson flatboat, clad in scarlet robes, and claimed first place. The youth shone like neon, stunning all who witnessed it, so much so that when people later spoke of Xie Rongzi's heroic figure on the river, they would always respectfully address him as Marquis of the Rainbow Boat. Just as the crowd gathered to praise him, someone's hooded cap fluttered down from the bridge, landing squarely on Xie Rongzi's face. It was utterly humiliating, completely crushing his momentum. Whose hat is this? Don't let me catch you, Xie Rongzi roared, his voice echoing skyward. In 2 strides, he charged across the lawn bridge, blocking Yuan Chuyi's path. A girl, her watery eyes, filled with bewilderment, met his gaze. Xie Rongzi suddenly felt his face burn fiercely, his speech stumbling awkwardly. From that day on, it seemed he'd developed this very flaw. This, yours. Unable to name the fluttering sensation in his heart, he simply tossed the hooded cap toward her. The girl was strikingly fresh and delicate. The people of Huanan City always said the most beautiful girls must be like water. Mountains gather like eyebrow peaks. Water flows like eye waves. That girl, in her white robe and dark brows, was delicate and charming. The grace in her eyes and brows was more beautiful than the very landscapes of Huanan City. What are you staring at? He hadn't meant to sound so harsh. He'd only wanted to ask her name and which family she belonged to. Perhaps from years of roughing it in military camps, he hadn't controlled his tone, his voice still too loud. Xie Rongzi had miscalculated. The girl fled in fright, seeing him as if he were a ghost. In her panic, a small pouch rolled clattering to his feet. Chuyi. Xie Rongzi picked up the pouch, committing the name to memory. Later, he searched Huan Nanqing high and low, nearly turning the earth upside down. There was Wang Chuyi, Lu Chuyi, Li Chuyi, yet none of their eyes resembled that pair that had captivated him. Xie Rongzi kept that sachet for many, many years, until his father died in battle. And Xie Rongzi seemed to grow up overnight. He took over his father's duties and, for the sake of the common people, had no choice but to enter the capital. He thought he would never see her again, but upon returning to the capital, he learned that the quiet, obedient second young miss of the Yuan family was named Yuan Chuyi. You really remembered it all these years. After hearing this long tale, Yuan Chuyi felt both tears and laughter welling up. The name was merely one her father had casually chosen. She was born on the first day of the first lunar month, so she hastily received it. Yet to Xie Rongzi, it had become an unforgettable memory spanning years. Meeting him was her greatest fortune in 3 lifetimes. Of course, Xie Rongzi's eyes crinkled with delight. But how did you suddenly? join forces with the third prince. Yuan Chui hesitated. You claimed to read palms. Then declared I fell for you at first sight and grew more enamored with each encounter. With such accuracy, how could I not believe you? Slightly tipsy, he narrowed his eyes and pinched her cheek hard. His wife was so soft. As for Lieutenant Su, it was after that incident that I thoroughly investigated everyone around me and discovered had harbored treasonous thoughts for a long time. So, deliberately keeping my alliance with the third prince a secret from him was also giving him one last chance. He just didn't seize it. Young General Xia is just an obedient husband who listens to his wife. What evil thoughts could he possibly have? It was your words that reminded Might Never Hurts to be more vigilant. But that bastard Zhao Jingqian, he's truly despicable. That sword stabbed me so painfully. Wah. My dear, it hurts so much. Xie Rongzi suddenly curled up on the bed, whimpering pitifully. Yuan Chu frowned. It hurts again. She bent down to examine his wound. Xie Rongzi chuckled softly. Seizing the moment to hold her hand, he quietly extinguished the wedding candles and drew back the bed curtains. Yet no one knew that in his previous life. It was precisely such a moment that had left an indelible mark on Xie Rongzi for years. After the Battle of Huannan, he had intended to win first, then return to petition the emperor for this favor to marry the second daughter of the Ruan family. The night before that battle, he had been so agitated he couldn't sleep, pacing the ship's bow for half the night. When Deputy Officer Su stepped out to relieve himself, he was startled to find Xie Rongzi there again, like a man possessed, stroking the fragrant pouch and smiling foolishly. It was neither the wind stirring, nor the banner fluttering. It was his heart stirring. Alas, Xie Rongzi never returned. He never knew that Chui, whom he cherished so deeply, had long since been dishonored. In that lifetime, Xie Rongzi perished in the icy waters of the Huan River. A sword pierced his heart, leaving him utterly cold, while half his palm was sliced off, the blade's edge starkly revealing bone. With his eyes closed forever, Xie Rongzi still clutched that incense pouch tightly, murmuring the name of the delicate maiden he never married. He had someone to think of, far away in a distant land, and Yuan Chui, in the winter month of that same year, died alone of illness in the depths of the despairing palace. Before her last breath, she spat a mouthful of blood onto the yellowed canopy cap beside her bed. Neither of them met a good end. Until their deaths, they never met again. Outside the window, a full moon hung high. On this enchanting night, the silk canopy dimly lit, the knight's embrace and love swayed together. Both uncertain. This time, both he and she had the ones they longed for beside them. The end.